important television coverage and everything else, you could very easily get yourself carried away and overlook that in football terms it is the most important day, and even with a few hours to go, the one thing that's on your mind is there anything that I've overlooked, is there anything I've forgotten, has all the hype and everything else affected the lads, make sure that they're okay.
I'm relaxed, all right. Looking forward to it, all right. The waiting now is the worst of it. But we're relaxed. And
there are a lot of people around the hotel here. Do you relish that, or would you rather be in quiet?
That doesn't really matter. It's nice to see the crowd around and gives a bit of excitement to the place, you know.
Tremendous hype we didn't have in our time. We had a lot more privacy as players, you know, and not less demands on you for, even for autographs, for example. And this particular team are very good at that. They're very good at the young fellas. And that has changed, yes. It seems to have assumed a tremendous importance in the ordinary life of the person. And I suppose all sporting things have become slightly larger than life, and the All-Ireland final is no exception.
You enjoy the whole thing, do you?
I love it. It's great. It's great. It's good to be there again. After disappointment of last year, you'd nearly think that we mightn't have come up here again and stayed in the Malahide and stuff like that. So it's great to be back here again, and sure, it's a bit of fun.
Meath or Cork, and why Meath?
Meath, because I think they have an indomitable spirit, and this team in particular doesn't know how to get beaten. I think it's that simple, and if we play our best and Cork play our best, I'm quite confident we'll win.
Yes, Frankie Byrne quite confident that Meath will win. Well, time will tell, I suppose. Martin Carney, just looking there at Martin O'Connell and Jinx Beggy, they look very relaxed. Does that tell you anything about the frame of mind that the players are in a couple of hours before the game, when tension starts to set in?
Yes, certainly if the attitude of the Meath team is represented by the calmness that David Beggy and Martin O'Connell have displayed, then I think they're in very, very good frame of mind. They're both extremely laid back there. You'd think they were going down to Malahide to celebrate the winning of the tiny town rather than going out and playing an All-Ireland final. And you know, if that represents the feeling in the Meath team, then I'll tell you they're on for a good day. Yeah. In contrast to that, early on we watched you know, Billy Morgan and Larry Tompkins. Billy seemed very relaxed. Larry probably is a little bit conscious of the calf injury, perhaps, not as relaxed as he'd like to be. But as Charlie earlier said, once the game starts, it'll probably go into the back of his mind, you know.
Mind you, Martin, I suppose it has to be said, David Beggy and Martin O'Connell, they always look relaxed anyway, no matter what the situation is. But for me, 1990 has been very good to them so far. 89 didn't go so well, but they've been back with a bang this year.
Gallagher against PJ Gillick. Pump forward, such good direct play. It's paying off. And this is Bernard Flynn to try and seal it with a goal. And he's got it! Missed by Liam Hayes. David Beggy. Jerry McEntee laying it into the path of Bernard Flynn. Gary Walsh with the sunshine making a welcome appearance here in Croke Park. David Beggy swinging it wide across towards Bernard Flynn. Some consternation, lashed in, and a goal! Brian Stafford! Indeed, Martin McHugh's been taken off the Donegal team. So often a match winner in the past, not this afternoon so far. Colm O'Rourke across to Bernard Flynn. Another goal! 2 goals inside a minute. Spills loose to David Beggy. Now the full forward. Bernard Flynn. Finishing with a flourish. What a game he's had.
Yes, Bernard Flynn and Meath on their way to the All-Ireland final of 1990. Now, on the day of the hurling final, you remember the Artane Boys Band gave us a very special fanfare for the final. They repeat that performance for us today. boys band there and memory. What memories will we carry of this year's All-Ireland final into our latter years of sporting history in the making here at Croke Park? Now, I don't know if you could hear on the effects mic there, but the Cork crowd on Hill 16 were joining in with the Artane boys band with all their bugles that they've brought to the match today. I have to say I would prefer the Artane boys band myself. Well, our panellists today are Charlie Mulgrew and Martin Carney, but tonight on the Sunday game, our expert analysts will be Enda Colleran and Mick O'Dwyer, Dr. Kildare himself. They're with Ger Canning right now.
Yes, indeed, we've got Mick O'Dwyer of Kildare. Sounds very strange. And Enda. Mick, your expectations of this final. Are we in for a good final?
Well, I think we should be. You know, conditions are pretty good. There's the wind blowing down the pitch all right, but I think conditions in general are pretty good here today, and I think we should have a great final.
Some great individual tussles to look forward to. What about midfield, though? I've got that feeling it might be congested.
Well, you have a lot of big players all around there. You have Teddy McCarthy on the wing, and you have Tompkins is in there, and you have Liam Hayes and McEntee and all these guys. I think there's going to be a great duel around the middle. It's going to be very, very tight and close there, but I think that will make for plenty of space up front, you know, and I think we could see some great scores today.
And next year you're hoping, of course, it'll be Kerry v Kildare.
Well, we'd be looking forward to that one, sure, yes. I don't think it's on at the moment, but you never know.
Enda, your expectations, what kind of final do you think it'll be?
I'm looking forward to a good game of football because, as Mick said, I think we'll see a congested midfield, but I think there'll be plenty of room for the forwards to operate, and we have some very good forwards on both sides. I'm particularly looking forward to the Meath full forward line because they're always very exciting and get great scores. But I think we're in for a great game, and Miko and I, we have no allegiance to either side, even though he's tied over the good few counties. But we're going to go to the stand and sit down and enjoy the game and watch it for the Sunday game tonight.
It's funny about this match, this particular final. The experts really can't make up their mind who the favourites are.
That is true. That brings my mind back to the hurling final, and Galway on that occasion were hot favourites. But we know that story. But I think that this is going to be very, very close. There'll be probably only a kick of the ball between them. And I think that it depends on how Lady Luck smiles on them on the day. You know, that little bit of luck, I think you need it to win an All-Ireland final, no matter what kind of a team you have.
OK, gentlemen, enjoy yourselves. Have a good match. Look forward to your analysis tonight. Enda Colleran and the new Dr. Kildare. Let's go back to Michael. Yes, a perfect setting, and what an absolutely magnificent minor football game. And the one thing that was running through my head towards the end of that match was that it's a tape, it's a video which should be taken and shown to schools everywhere of how to play Gaelic football. Tremendous sportsmanship, excellent skill, and a wonderful finish. Agus an ish tá uachtar na Hayden an Dr. Pádraig O'Hillera ag tacht I drón na páidge. Well, as we mentioned for the hurling final, barring a replay, President Hillary is attending his final All-Ireland final before leaving office. And it's also the case indeed with the GAA President John Dowling, due to step down from the presidency of the GAA at the end of March.
So, as Dr. Hillary takes his seat then for the senior final, we take a commercial break. But join us back here again at Croke Park very, very shortly for the build-up to the senior All-Ireland final. Right cracker in that. Right cracker in that, and the game finally won by Meath on a scoreline of 2-11 to 2-9. 2 points win for Meath, but Kerry will regret a penalty that they missed in the last 2 minutes of the game. So that was the minor match. What about the senior game? A little earlier on we saw the Meath team arriving. I thought they looked a little bit pensive, a little bit tense. But Jimmy McGee has been down in the dressing room area, getting a little bit closer to the Meath players. Let's go down, join Jimmy right now, see what his news is.
Well, the Meath team arrived in the dressing room just a half an hour ago at 2:30, and they're now changing down in dressing room number 1, that's Senior A, and it is for me the very lucky dressing room indeed. They haven't lost a championship football game there for 5 seasons. August 1986 when they lost to Kerry, so they really feel at home inside in Croke Park as well as out on the field. Now they're also very happy, are the Meath players, and I'm sure Cork as well, about the weather. There is very little wind, a gentle zephyr, no rain, and very important of all, no sun to affect the defenders and the goalkeepers. There has been some surprise expressed, not just in the Meath dressing room and among the Meath people, but generally about some of the Cork selections, the placement of some of the key players, and particularly the absence of John O'Driscoll. Many felt that his energy and his fielding ability would have really counted today. Now, I asked some of the senior Meath players how they felt. Does it get any easier? And they say it doesn't matter how often you do it. The more experience you have of something, the more nervous you get. So it's fair to say, I think, that they're apprehensive, a little pensive, but quietly confident. And I can tell you this, an odd rumour going around the place that so-and-so might not be fit and mightn't be on the side. I can assure you, Meath are playing as selected. And there's one group of people, a part thereof, just behind me here, at the canal end, and I'm sure they have no doubts at all who's going to win. Let's ask them, the Meath people at the back here.
Yes, so many counties would so dearly love to be in Croke Park here this afternoon for the All-Ireland football final. Well, these men were, it's a little bit a while ago since they were. This is the Roscommon team of 1943 and 44 being introduced to the crowd by Mick Dunn.
Represented by his son John. Next is Larry Cummins, who was one of the corner backs. The late J.P. O'Callaghan is represented by his son Cork. And the late Bill Jackson represented by his son Jimmy. Then there's Brendan Lynch, and he was the right halfback. Bill Carlos was the centre halfback, and he's just flown in from Orlando in Florida. The late Holmesy Hoare is represented by his son Owen. Liam Gilmartin was one of the midfielders. And Eamon Bowman over from England was the other man at midfield. Next, Phelan Murray, and he was both a half forward and a half back. Donal Keenan, a wing forward who later became president of this association. The late Frank Kinloch is represented by his son Oliver. And Derry McDermott has just got off a flight and rushed in here from Dublin Airport. The late John Castlery is represented by his widow Joan. Hugh Gibbons was one of the right corner forwards. The late Monsignor William Kinloch is represented by his sister, Mrs. Oliver Macklin. Bill Heavey was left half-back for the 43 draw, but unfortunately was injured for the replay. Then there was Paddy Beastie. John Joe Nerney. Peter Connellan. John Bryan. The late Brian O'Rourke is represented by his widow Lily. The late Harry O'Connor is represented by his nephew Pat Cooney. The late Tom Conroy is represented by his son John. And the late Jim Brennan is represented by his son George. And finally, last but by no means least, would you acknowledge Jerry Dolan? So once again, would you let's acclaim these Roscommon players who were the All-Ireland champions of 1943 and 44.
Yes, in the middle of the picture there you can see Jimmy Jackson representing his late dad, Jimmy, a former League of Ireland soccer player, and I can tell you, no mean Gaelic footballer himself. Well, a little while ago we heard from Jimmy McGee, who was down in the Meath dressing room. Jim Carney has a story to tell from the Cork dressing room.
The Cork dressing room is relatively relaxed, very calm, everybody in good spirits, in good form, and the players went out to have a look at the minor game, and they came down in 2s and 3s. Meath came down all together, went in. Meath, I thought, very tense going in relative to Cork. I thought Cork looked very, very relaxed indeed. A couple of players, the spotlight is on them in there. Larry Tompkins getting treatment, but nothing special compared to the rest of them. They were all going up on the table. Dr. Con Murphy, he had such an easy job really for the hurling final. It's been a bit harder for him today, and he was worried, of course, all along about Larry Tompkins. But the strange thing about Tompkins' injury and about the way they're treating him, they're simply not talking about it or worrying about it too much. They're saying, well, Larry has played no football. He hasn't trained for the past 2 or 3 weeks. It's a time for him perhaps to unwind and to get ready for today. And if his injury stands up, well, good and well. If it doesn't, well, then they'll make a decision because they have good subs to bring on. They're not paranoid or in any way over-worried about Tompkins' injury. They're just equally worried about all the other players in the team. But Con Murphy, I know, is very, very pleased indeed that Anthony Davis in particular has made a good recovery and he's ready to come in. A couple of players I will mention. Niall Cahalan, very chirpy, in great humour. And Dennis Walsh, a sub, he's a little glum because he won't be in today. But Cork generally in great spirits, nothing wrong in there, they're in great form, they'll be out shortly.
Yes, Larry Tompkins' injury, will that be a factor? The panel will have a view on that, I'm sure, after this commercial break. So please stay with us as we continue to build up the All-Ireland final of 1990.
Fans this afternoon. This afternoon as Cork play in their 4th successive final, seeking to complete the All-Ireland double, hurling and in football. They're also bidding to do what no Cork team has ever managed before, that's to put 2 championship final victories back-to-back in successive years. And Larry there with John Kearns behind him, ready and poised for the photograph. Billy Morgan's team showing 2 changes in personnel and 8 positional switches from the starting formation against Roscommon last month. In all, 11 of the side, including John Kearns there at Shea Fahy, started in last year's final against Mayo. Danny Cullity there in the middle with Barry Coffey, today listed at left half-back. Teddy McCarthy bidding to win hurling medals and football medals in the same season. Dave Barry on the wing this afternoon, and Michael McCarthy there at the right-hand side of the front row. He was a star in the semi-final with 3 magnificent second-half points. So the Cork team then taking up their position in front of Hill 16. And now it's the Meath turn. And like the Corkmen, there's a thunderous greeting to acclaim the Leinster and National League champions, skippered by Colm O'Rourke, seeking to maintain a championship winning record against Cork, and in the process, win back the Sam Maguire for the 3rd time in 4 years. The Canal End saluting the men of the Royal County in the green and gold. An experienced, highly motivated team managed by Sean Boylan with players of strength and class in key positions. Only 1 change in personnel from the semi-final and 1 positional switch, indications of a very settled Meath team. Bernard Flynn, a star of that semi-final win over Donegal. Robbie O'Malley, Liam Hayes looking pensive. Brian Stafford second from the right alongside David Beggy, and Donal Smith appearing in his first All-Ireland final as goalkeeper. Kevin Foley there on the outside. And this is the team captain himself, Colm O'Rourke, who's one of the Meath forwards to consistently cause Cork headaches and problems in All-Ireland finals. His first half goal, you may remember, was critical in 1987, and time and again Cork has struggled really to contain him. Donald Smith, who made the goalkeeping position his own last spring as Meath won the league, and among his best performances, I seem to remember, was a semi-final victory here in Croke Park over Cork. Brian Stafford plays the game with a lovely, relaxed, almost unhurried style. which defences everywhere now, of course, realise is quite deceptive. And a very good afternoon now to our viewers across Britain viewing on Channel 4. Welcome to the All-Ireland football final between Cork and Meath. 64,000 people, a capacity crowd. Mick Lyons, one of the people that they'll be looking at this afternoon, and Bernard Flynn, one of the great sharp shooters. So with the teams ready for action, we've an opportunity to check on the respective lineouts, starting with the defending champions, who are Cork, of course.
John Kearns has been Cork's regular netminder since 1984. Tony Nation captained Cork against Meath for the 88 final. Niall Cahalan, the lion-hearted defender, was easily man of the match against Roscommon. 20-year-old Stephen O'Brien was full-back against Mayo last year. It's just a second full season on the team for wing-back Michael Slocum. Conor Coonahan has been so often one of Cork's unsung heroes. Substituted in the semi-final, Barry Coffey now takes up duty at left half-back. Moving to his natural position from attack is midfielder Shay Fahy. Danny Cullity spent his formative years in California, but now very much a Cork man. Dave Barry was man of the match in last year's final against Mayo. Larry Tompkins plays in spite of a troublesome injury at centre half forward. Teddy McCarthy today starts his 7th All-Ireland senior final. Sharpshooter Paul McGrath is today assigned to his best position, right corner forward. A sub for the last 2 years, Colm O'Neill has come back in convincing style this year. Super sub Mick McCarthy has been flying in training. He takes the left corner berth.
That's the team which Brian Stafford will be hoping to down this afternoon. For Cork, their incentive to defeat Meath for the first time in the championship, however, minus the richly talented Tony Davis. Injury keeps him in the subs. So can Cork hold on to the title they won last year, or will Meath regain their crown? Here's a look now at the Royal County formation, counting down from 1 to 15.
For Donal Smith in goal, it's his All-Ireland final debut. Out through injury earlier in the year, Robbie O'Malley is now back to his best. In the number 3 jersey, Meath's most popular player, Mick Lyons. Terry Ferguson's dad played for Dublin, but he's got 2 All-Irelands with Meath. Injury kept Brendan Riley sidelined for long periods, but 1990's been going well so far. Kevin Foley's been playing at centre-back this year for the injured Liam Harnan. Martin O'Connell is the wing-back who likes to get in on the scoring. At midfield, there's the high-fielding sports journalist Liam Hayes. And back beside him, his old partner, Jerry McEntee. Right half forward, David Beggy has come all the way from Scotland for this year's final. PJ Gillick was one of the stars of the semi-final win over Donegal. Colin Brady was at midfield during the year, but makes his All-Ireland debut on the left wing. 15 years wearing the Meath colours, Colm O'Rourke captains this year's team. At full forward, Brian Stafford, Ireland's deadliest place kicker. And completing an all-star full forward line is Bernard Flynn.
One of the very best around indeed, Bernard Flynn. The toss was taking place while we were watching those captions on screen. Larry Tompkins won the toss and I think has opted to play from left to right in the first half. The minor match won by County Meath to 11 to 2-9. An absolutely terrific game. Kerry had a penalty stopped by a brilliant Meath goalkeeper in the last 2 minutes. Sean Boylan, the team manager, on whose shoulders, of course, there's always so much pressure in these tight matches, tight situations. Meath's most successful manager ever, with a string of All-Ireland, Leinster and league triumphs to his credit. And that's Billy Morgan there with his back to us, carrying the bottle of water, a winner as a player and coach, and someone who brings an aura of success to all his teams. John Cleary there beside him, one of the subs this afternoon. A perfect afternoon, as we've been saying all through this broadcast. Scarcely a puff of breeze about to worry. The traditional huddle. I was asking one of the players recently what actually goes on in the huddle just before the ball is thrown in, and it's just a reaffirmation of certain points that the coach has made, in which he wants to hammer home into his players at this point. There's Dave Barry, man of the match, as you may remember last year. Reverts to the right wing today, having figured at centre forward for most of the year. It was at wing forward, you remember, that he got 3 points against Mayo last year.
And the third team is coming to meet the
our President, Mr. John Dowling, has a presentation to make to His Excellency the President of Ireland, as this is his last attendance at an All-Ireland final as Uachtaráin na hÉireann. Mr. John Dowling.
So in memory of the occasion, there's a presentation by John Dowling.
During your presidency, you have been an exceptional supporter of our GEA games. And on behalf of the whole association, I am making this presentation to you on the occasion of your last official attendance as Uachtaráin at an All-Ireland final. The presentation consists of exact silver replicas of the Lee McCarthy and Sam Maguire trophies.
Beautiful trophies, and the President is the recipient. John Dowling making the presentation. Well, his last time, as we say, to be at the final, of course, barring a replay. The teams then ready in lining up. And first of all, it's Cork, hoping to gain the measure of Meath and bring off the county's first double All-Ireland success. Since 1890, Bullock won the hurling title in that year, and Middleton were the football champions. Mind you, that final was completed in 1892. Wise heads in the south, I tell you. Council against talk of doubles with all its attendant pressures. Shay Fahy there meeting President Hillary, and Larry Tompkins making the introductions. Colm O'Neill, who'll be full forward this afternoon, and the linesmen Pat Moran and Francie Finan, and the referee is Paddy Russell, a young County Tipperary official handling his first All-Ireland final, as Colm O'Rourke now introduces the Meath men. Meath defending a proud record in All-Ireland finals against Cork, whom they beat on 3 occasions, and curiously they won the old Sam Maguire Cup on its last presentation in '87, and the new one, the new Sam Maguire, in 1988. PJ Gillick, one of the great heroes of Meath football, being introduced. President then leaving the side of the pitch to take his place in the Ort Goyle section. Just about ready for the parade of the teams. A setting that's hard to equal, a gripping, highly charged atmosphere, an occasion played out so many times before, and yet one not to be missed. The tension on the face there of Barry Coffey. Conor Coonahan ahead of him. Cork led by Larry Tompkins. Meath by Colm O'Rourke. Players who were colleagues together on a Leinster Railway Cup winning team in 1985. This the proudest moment, I'm sure, in their footballing careers, leading their respective counties. But who'll be receiving the trophy when the clock approaches 5? The final that so many wanted to see has become a reality. Meath, driven on by a fierce will to win, have shown in the past that their blend of skillful, accurate football combined with a strong and usually perfectly fair physical presence is the winning combination. The question, I suppose, to be resolved, surely, how defending champions Cork will counter that. Will they opt to keep the ball travelling as fast as possible with much use of wing play, or will they consider, as the cliche goes, mixing it, which I suppose is a euphemism for going in as hard as your opponents? It's an intriguing prospect. Every available space in the stands, on the terraces, taken up by an attendance of round about 64,000, which for safety reasons is the current capacity. At least another 20,000, I'm sure, from the competing counties and beyond would love to be here. Meath are down at the canal end. There are some red and white flags, as you see there as well. And I noted a couple of green and gold flags up around Hill 16, which essentially belongs to the Cork fans. Just looking around here, you wonder where the 91,000 who witnessed the 1960 final between Down and Offaly managed to fit. Indeed, I think when today's final is met in the 67th final, the attendance was something of the order of 70,000. All kinds of different blends of red and white, as always, when Cork play here at Croke Park. teams who've played 18 championship matches each in the last 4 very successful seasons in which they've dominated the championship and dominated the league between them. Cork losing just 2 of their 18 games, both to Meath, while the Royal County has been defeated only once in the same sequence. That was last season's Leinster final defeat at the hands of Dublin. So is it to be the year of the Royals or the year of the Rebels? The expectation of an engaging final, and whether you're sharing the occasion with us in California or Canada, London, Liverpool or Limerick, or indeed anywhere and everywhere, we hope you enjoy what's surely one of Irish sport's great annual occasions. Juniors and now the seniors, very much part of the tradition of Big Match Day in magnificent Croke Park. The final piece of the pageantry being played out. Meath defenders going back to the goal on our right, which is, as we indicated earlier, Cork going across all together. The first little ploy of the match. Meath have gone into their positions from goalkeeper to corner forward. Cork have decided to go right across to the dugout, as you see here. This is a ploy to try and confuse Meath right before the start of the match as to who's going into what positions. Quick check then finally on the teams this afternoon. Cork with 2 changes from the semi-final, both of them on the left flank of the attack. Teddy McCarthy at left half forward, his namesake Mick from Skibbereen in the corner. Gachtar the Nish, Beagnach in Agaris in Ordan, Glihe Ile Aiding, na Foyd na Olive, Ach Riv Tusna Himmerha, Beg out on the Viennaguing, O Vanakjol Bokale Ordai. Quick check on Meath, still without the injured Liam Harnan. They show a solitary alteration in their team. Dignitaries in the Ord Corley section of the Hogan stand in Croke Park. We were mentioning the Meath team, saying that they had 1 solitary alteration. This is the Meath 15 this afternoon. The experienced Jerry McEntee resuming his midfield alliance with Liam Hayes. Colin Brady moves into the half-forward line and wears the number 12 shirt. Cork's 19th All-Ireland final, Meath's 12th. The referee is Paddy Russell from County Tipperary. A tense atmosphere, an occasion when the referee needs all his wits about him and a little bit of luck as well. quick check on the watch by referee Paddy Russell. It's Cork from left to right in the first half. And straight away, Danny Cullity trying to set up Paul McGrath. Transferred, intended for Teddy McCarthy. Booted away by Jerry McEntee. The foul is recorded. Colin Brady, the guilty party. Larry Tompkins, the one who was fouled. Larry Tompkins leaving the free to Colm O'Neill, which is interesting. Larry might well have opted to take it. Perhaps doesn't feel the leg is quite up to it. We'll see a little bit later on whether that's in fact the case. Colm O'Neill has driven it wide, and that won't do his confidence very much as Cork forfeit a promising opening. Breaks down into the arms of Danny Cullity once again. His second possession in the match. Into Shea Fahy. Going for a score himself. And he's put it over the bar. The first point has come after a minute and 20 seconds. Back in his natural position, surely, at centre field, Shea Fahy. Donald Smith today here playing in his 5th championship match for Meath. Midfield will be very interesting indeed. Larry Tompkins going back into that section straight away. Shea Fahy driving it forward towards Colm O'Neill. The first ball really between O'Neill and Mick Lyons. Spills down to Terry Ferguson. Foul by Dave Barry. Free out to Meath. Terry Ferguson, the player who was fouled, so according to the new rules, he can take the free from the hands. Aim towards Liam Hayes. Here's Mick Slocum. Attempting to bring Mick McCarthy into the game over there. Robbie O'Malley maybe showing just a tiny bit too much of it there to Mick McCarthy, but recovers well. Kevin Foley, having a very good season. Likewise, Bernard Flynn, coming away from the corner forward position. Tony Nation has followed. Danny Cullity. Finally, Dave Barry releasing Stephen O'Brien. Scored a point in the semi-final win against Roscommon. Dispossessed by a magnificent piece of interception from Martin O'Connell. David Beggy was attempting to get loose. Barry Coffey. Anxious moments as both sides try to assert themselves. That's Slocum belting it forward. Cut out by Jerry McEntee. Linking up brilliantly with Robbie O'Malley. Stafford into the clear towards Colin Brady. And Tony Nation does well. There was a breakdown of cover at the back that time. Jerry McEntee trying to dispossess Danny Cullity. It's into Larry Tompkins. Cork ahead by a point, remember. Terry Ferguson. Into the stride of PJ Gillick, being marked by Conor Coonahan, who has a fantastic record in matches against Meath. In his 5 matches so far against Meath in the last 4 years, only 1 point has been scored against him, that by Joe Castles in the replayed 88 final. Harry Coffey fouled by David Beggy. John Kearns. Liam Hayes rising up for it. Larry Tompkins, who's playing anywhere but on the 40, very much in midfield right now. Showing no great effects of an injury as he's fouled that time by Meath's number 5, Brendan Riley. One of 3 Meath men playing in their first All-Ireland final, Brendan Riley. Shea Fahy then shaping up to take the free on the Meath 65-metre line. Busy time for Shea, getting married in 12 days' time as the referee has gone up to the other end to have a check with the 2 umpires. that may have happened off the ball. And the referee going across, and he was having a word there with Mick Lyons in the book out. Well, whatever incident happened, the umpires brought it to his attention, which is great combined play by the officials, and the referee Paddy Russell laying down the law early and saying to the players, if you step out of line, I'll have none of it. First bookings then after 5 minutes. Fahy with the free. Driven deep towards Larry Tompkins. Brilliantly fetched by Jerry McEntee. Back in the Meath colours. He was fouled as he released that ball. Robbie O'Malley having to take the free from the ground because it was McEntee who was the one who was fouled. So Fahy fetching well. Surrounded by 4 Meath men. Spills loose towards Michael McCarthy. Teddy McCarthy, his namesake, in towards Colm O'Neill. A difficult one for him to contain, and he was being fouled by Mick Lyons. The official decides. Mick doesn't agree, shrugs the head. Or maybe. It's a chance of a second point, and Larry Tompkins is taking this one, and to judge by his play so far, I don't think he's feeling much effect by the injury. He's driven it over. Larry Tompkins with his first point of the match, and Cork lead by 2 points to no score. Lyons is going to have quite a duel, I think, with Colm O'Neill this afternoon. Jostling for position in midfield. That's taken by Jerry McEntee. He was restrained, he was fouled. And he's leaving the free for his partner, Liam Hayes. Driven in well towards Colm O'Rourke. Easy for John Kearns, however. Mal Cahalane. Shea Fahy. Always a man coming up in support, and this time it's the centre half back, Conor Coonahan. Driven deep, turned towards Colm O'Neill. Getting well away. Going for a shot. Oh, it comes off the angle of crossbar and upright. Cork's tactics working well so far in trying to confuse me. Barry Tompkins playing deeper than expected. Dave Barry filling in around the 40 from time to time. Here's Bernard Flynn, looking for Meath's first score. Pursued there by Tony Nation. Getting a more favourable angle, but it just doesn't curl in quite enough for him. Well, he's the kind of player who likes to get that ball from good service from midfield, but at the other end, this was that rasping shot from behind the goal by Colm O'Neill. Colin Brady filling in towards midfield. Niall Cahalane reads the game so well. Mick Slocum here. Good holding there by Danny Cullity. Under some pressure, fouled. Danny Cullity there is the one who's fouled, and that was the 9th free we've had in the match so far. After 9 minutes. Barry Coffey. Here's Danny Cullity. This is Brian Stafford. It's run a little bit too long for Colm O'Rourke. Mal Cahalane looking for some support. Getting it from Tony Nation. Several good individual duels so far. A good catch here by Teddy McCarthy. Good shoulder. Jerry McEntee feeding it back towards Robbie O'Malley, who'll be Ireland's captain in the Compromise Rules series next month in Australia. Martin O'Connell, half blocked on by Dave Barry. It spills loose to an alert Brendan Riley. Deep ball, way down, taken by Nation, who watched it all the way. Stephen O'Brien, the other corner back. Shay Fahey feeding it on to Barry Coffey. Terry Ferguson can't hold on to it. Paul McGrath trying to link up with some of the other forwards. This is O'Connell. Meath still waiting to get their first score as Kevin Foley is fouled. There's a switch on the Meath half-forward line with David Beggy now operating at left half-forward, and curiously Barry Coffey has gone across to mark him. Jerry McEntee down towards what's essentially a two-man attack still, as Colm O'Rourke is restrained unfairly by Niall Cahalane, who protests his innocence, but referee Paddy Russell quite insistent that there was a foul. Once again, we've seen Brian Stafford in these opening minutes pull back reasonably deep for a full forward, as he's done for much of this championship season, but not as deep as he was playing in the game against Donegal. Chance for Meath's opening score, and Brian Stafford puts it over, struck with a calm surety. He really has a very fine record in matches against Cork. In 5 games he's managed 2 goals and 32 points. Kearns here, one of 7 Cork players today playing in their 4th successive All-Ireland final. Good relief by Colm Brady, not being allowed any latitude by the tight-marking Cork men. Martin O'Connell trying to get the forward line going. Well read by Niall Cahalane, getting out to the ball first time. Dave Barry linking up here with Paul McGrath. Good solo run by McGrath. Jerry McEntee in pursuit. Cork 2 points, Meath no score, remember. That was a lovely piece of interception by Robbie O'Malley. Brilliant defending. Fouled as he was taking the ball out. Teddy McCarthy, the one who commits the indiscretion. Colm O'Rourke has been brought into full forward by Meath. He's been marked by Niall Cahalane. Bernard Flynn has switched across to top of the right rather than top of the left. Meanwhile, it's Barry Coffey trying to hold off his man David Beggy, and Danny Cullity nips in to play it wide outside to Mick McCarthy, known as the Skibbereen Eagle. Inside towards Colm O'Neill, and once again there's a foul by Mick Lyons. Vastly experienced defender Mick Lyons, who realises that he will have to be very, very careful in his disciplined approach to this game. Larry Tompkins' kick is about 35 metres out. Little or no breeze into his face. Chance to extend Cork's lead. Just grazes the top of the crossbar over the goalkeeper's fingers, and it's a second point for Larry Tompkins. Big leap in the air, and Jerry McEntee, the referee says, was fouled. Danny Cullity conceding a couple of yards. Play down towards Brian Stafford, but overhit. And there's a concern in the full forward line, I think, about the service so far. But the Cork defence realises that that's the best full forward line in the business in the championship so far. And they're keeping a very tight eye on them. Stephen O'Brien, we saw there, now marking Brian Stafford. Waits for the breaking ball. Pursued by Colm Brady. A good 30-metre run so far by Larry. Steadying himself, but not on target. He misdirects it. Having created the opening, he just wasn't quite able to finish it off. Fahy, was there a push? Yes. No question about it. As Shea Fahy concedes the free quickly taken. Down towards Brian Stafford. Mick Slocum tried to pick it up neatly, but it's run loose to a determined Colm O'Rourke. The team captain holds on too long. Well, he would claim, I'm sure, that he had very little latitude. Defence doing well, grouping around Colm O'Rourke and limiting his space. Kearns with the free. Aim towards Larry Tompkins again, against Kevin Foley. A push. Many frees so far in the game. Barry Coffey. This is Shea Fahy. Angling it outside towards Mick Slocum. And switched wings virtually from the start. Dave Barry doing well, making it his, putting it onto Paul McGrath. Trying to round Terry Ferguson. Danny Cullity in an advanced position, as he likes to do. That has gone high and it's gone wide. There can't have been too much in it. Well, one like that in the Munster final, it came down off the post, you may recall, against Kerry, and Mick McCarthy was in to claim Cork's first goal on that occasion. Trying to get loose with David Beggy there in pursuit. That's Shea Fahy. Terry Ferguson coming out from his cornerback position. On towards David Beggy, who's yet to really get a piece of the action against Barry Coffey. Now McCarthy, into Dave Barry. Playing anywhere but out on the right wing. Booted away brilliantly by Robbie O'Malley to PJ Gilly, trying to get the three-man full forward line going. This is Stafford. Colm O'Rourke is calling for it. Brian Stafford going it alone. And that is a brilliant piece of finishing. Oh, it was an outstanding assured piece of shooting by Brian Stafford when others were looking for it. 3 points to 2. Well, his confidence obviously is high. Holding off the challenges from just inside the 45-metre line, that's an excellent point. Martin O'Connell, a superb catch. Down towards Bernard Flynn. Against Tony Nation. Trying to sell some dummies. On the left boot. High. And it's over the bar. And the sides are level. In the last 2 minutes, Brian Stafford and Bernard Flynn have got pieces of the action. Got some ball into their hands. And they've converted both chances. Kevin Foley trying to take it away from the midfielder Shea Fahy. Free to Meath. Foley's had a very, very good season when you consider that he kept players of the calibre of Kieran Duff and Martin McHugh scoreless from play in the Leinster final and All-Ireland football semi-final. Concern about Danny Cullity. Dr. Con Murphy in there just to check. And his form, I think, in the last 2 games will certainly have alerted the Meath men that he's one they certainly have to look out for. We're just coming up to 20 minutes gone in the first half. Sides level 3 points apiece. Tony Nation reading the intentions. Tompkins flicks forward into space towards Colm O'Neill. Cork's ploy seems to be to try and isolate Colm O'Neill with Mick Lyons. The other corner forwards are playing in a more withdrawn role, and the ball has been played in fast and early towards Colm O'Neill against Mick Lyons, and it's yielding dividends so far. Look at the space just ahead of him, and Lyons forced to foul. Larry Tompkins' kick, and about 38 metres from the Meath goal. To the left, led by Lyons. What he loves to be, in there under the dropping ball. Shea Fahy touches it down. Mick Slocum. Ooh, overhead to Barry Coffey. Beggy nipping in. Trying to keep it moving along the line. Went off Colm O'Rourke, I think. Well, David Beggy has made over 40 journeys from Scotland this year just to be part of Meath's training session at weekends. Oh, Gillick has taken a very high one to the face there. Stephen O'Brien was the player, and he's in there claiming that it was a fair shoulder, but not shoulder to shoulder, the referee has pointed out. Stephen, who will be just over age for under 21 next year, made a memorable introduction after 21 minutes of the 88 match against Meath. And there's PJ Gillick, one of the strong, strapping young men of this fine Meath team, bidding to win back the Sam Maguire Cup. 4 points was his tally against Donegal. That's tailed away and wide. McLyons then at the other end of the field, watching and waiting. Touchdown by Jerry McEntee, but only as far as Conor Coonahan. This is on for Danny Cullity. Towards Paul McGrath. Game strangely a little bit subdued so far. This is McGrath. Back to Mick McCarthy. On his shooting left foot, and it sails over the crossbar. 3 points in the semi, and now 1 here in the final itself. That's a goal and 6 points in all he's got in this year's championship. So far it's proving to be a good, tough, competitive All-Ireland final. Dave Barry towards Colm O'Neill, judging the hop well. Mick McCarthy calling for the way at the far corner. Colm going on a solo effort. Linking up with Larry Tompkins. Brilliantly brought down by Kevin Foley, sticking to his task like a leech. Brilliantly done. This is McCarthy again. In the follow-up, he's put it over the bar. He's got 2 points. Well, when you consider that in 1988 in the 2 finals on Bobby O'Malley, number 2 there, he only managed 1 point. He's now managed 2 in the space of a minute. Little clean fetching coming out of midfield so far as Liam Hayes links up with Colm O'Rourke. O'Rourke looking for some space in which to get in a shot, but it ends up being a rather undistinguished shot at that. Meath with 4 wide so far, Cork with 3. Fisted down by Shea Fahy. Dave Barry chipping it forward towards Paul McGrath. Curly Ferguson trying to stick to his task. There was a push, however, and just heating up for a moment. The referee nipping in quickly to have a word with Martin O'Connell, warning him about the action that happened immediately before that. Paul McGrath getting himself gingerly off the ground. So far, good competitive football. There's the push from O'Connell. Larry Tompkins. Terry Ferguson tripped by Colm O'Neill after O'Neill had lost his chance of getting that ball. This is the 21st free kick of the match. Liam Hayes. Recovering well. Into the corner towards Colm O'Rourke. Trying to get away from Niall Cahalane, his marker. Doing well to hold on to it. Needing support, however, but it's not coming fast enough. And maybe that's one of the key things so far in the game. The support for the full forward line of Meath isn't what we're used to, and Martin O'Connell has gone it alone, going for a point, but well away from the target. Well, all the talk that we heard about in the build-up to this match, that it was going to be tough, over physical, mean and nasty and so on, it's been anything but. It's been competitive, yes, but that's exactly what you expect. Brilliantly fetched by Danny Cullity against the other number 9, Jerry McEntee. This is Teddy McCarthy. Punted outside towards Dave Barry. Loose marking on Dave at the moment by Martin O'Connell. In it goes to Paul McGrath against Terry Ferguson. Support inside for Paul McGrath. He can get the ball in. Meath funneling back well, however. Paul just considering his options. And one would have considered that a pass in a little bit earlier might have yielded something for Cork. This is Danny Cullity trying to make the most of it. Shea Fahy. Meath trying to cover their men, and Fahy has driven it over with great confidence. Another point for Shea Fahy, really making his mark in this match. Meath supporters there at the canal end, and they'll be looking for some fireworks from their team yet to pull this game around as they trail by 3 points at the moment. Barry Coffey touched on by Mick McCarthy, but only as far as Martin O'Connell. Held up, restrained and fouled. Ferguson making himself available towards Bernard Flynn. Bernard Flynn was coming way into a left half forward position. Nation followed all the way. Stafford will take the free. Just about 6 minutes to go to half time. Driven in towards Colm O'Rourke, but the Cork backs are getting out ahead of their men, and having weathered a little minor storm in the middle of this first half when Meath had 2 points from Stafford and Flynn, the backs have settled down to their task once again now. Under pressure, however, from Liam Hayes. Brilliantly taken by Colm O'Rourke, but he stepped out over the end line. The umpire was very vigilant. That was the ball played in by Liam Hayes, and just watch for the tall Colm O'Rourke. Did he step out over the end line? Yes, he did. Coonahan. Looking for Dave Barry or Paul McGrath, but it's Terry Ferguson who kept his eye on it all the way. It's got the attention of the 2 Corkmen. And he is now awarded a 13-metre advantage. It used to be 10. Down towards Colm O'Rourke, brilliantly fetched ahead of Stafford, no question about the free in for Meath. This can cut back the lead to 2 points as they shape up to one another down there, and common sense prevails, thankfully. That was a magnificent catch, I think, there by Colm O'Rourke ahead of Niall Cahalane. He's doing well. Hoping to make his way into the large rectangle, but of course it would have been a penalty. Stafford. A deft little chip. Another point. That's 3 for the first half. Touched on by Shea Fahy, but only as far as Martin O'Connell. Driven back defiantly by O'Connell, again towards Colm O'Rourke, as they try to get him into the game as much as possible. David Beggy likewise has had a fairly subdued first half, and much the same for PJ Gillick. Cork, I think, will be much the happier of the two sides heading into the break at this stage. Colm O'Neill, and the pick-up off the ground by Colm O'Neill. Oh dear. Oh, that's rather senseless by Colm O'Neill. That really is senseless. And I think he's been sent off. Oh, really, there is no excuse. Just a rush of blood to the head, I'm afraid. Very untypical of the man. But Cork are down to 14 men, I think. He hasn't gone off yet. This is the incident that happened a little earlier, the pick-up. Now, yes, he has been sent off. A sad blow for Colm O'Neill. But the referee was right on the spot. He saw the blow to the face, and really he was left with very few alternatives. So it's 14-man Cork now. Colm Brady. Can he deliver those telling passes inside? This one is cut out by Tony Nation. Well, in 88 in the replay, you remember it was 14-man Meath who played much the better. Now it's up to Cork against 15-man Meath. Mick Lyons. Bernard Flynn. Punted into space. Barry Coffey easily reading the intentions. 2.5 minutes before half-time. Billy Morgan and Sean Murphy there, sympathising with Colm O'Neill. Meanwhile, Meath have driven one over the bar brilliantly. A lovely point, and Brian Stafford, the one who's got his fourth, and ominously for Cork, there's only a point between them. The Meath fans a lot more hopeful, smiles back on the faces once again. Well, we're in for an intriguing second half, of that there's no doubt, but we've still got 2 minutes of this opening 35 to play. Cahalane. Conor Coonahan. Pursued by David Beggy, pushed by David Beggy. The fouls simply mount up on the frees now tally 27 for the first half. 16 for Meath frees and 11 frees for Cork. Well, that sending off just a moment or two ago of Colm O'Neill is certainly be one of the talking points at half-time here at Croke Park. Remember, he'd already been booked. Ball is sent in towards Bernard Flynn. Catches it well. Calls for the ball to be played inside. He gives it instead to a tightly marked Colm O'Rourke. PJ Gillick has his shot brilliantly blocked down by Shea Fahy. It's released outside to Barry Coffey. Picked up by Teddy McCarthy. Played forward towards Shea Fahy. On to Mick Slocum, crossing the 65-metre line. Played hopefully forward to Larry Tompkins against Kevin Foley. Down he goes. And the Cork players complaining now about the fouling there on Larry Tompkins. Well, it was pushing. Nothing more serious than that, really. Kevin Foley going across, restraining Tompkins with a push. Free's been taken rather badly. It comes to Colm Brady. Sails over the head of Conor Coonahan. Tony Nation going back. He's playing well so far against Bernard Flynn. But Flynn is there chasing for that loose ball. Oh, there's a trick by Nation. And a free in for Meath. We're into time added on for injuries. And Meath can draw level with this free. 13 metres out. The angle rather tight. Bernard Flynn to take it himself. Kicking. Sailing over the head of Tony Nation, but he's put it wide. Well, that's a curious one. You'd expected Brian Stafford to have taken that, but Flynn felt he had the confidence to have a pot himself. There's a point between the teams at half-time. Paddy Russell calling for the end of the 35 minutes. The Cork fans and Dave Barry there just having a little chat with Paddy Russell. He sent off Colm O'Neill inside the last 5 minutes of the first half. From our angle here, he didn't really seem to have an option. But Cork are now down to 14 against Meath, and it's Cork, led by Larry Tompkins, who lead at half-time by 6 points to 5.
We always knew it was going to be tight and tough, and it has certainly worked out that way. In 1988, remember, in the replay, Meath won with 14 men. Can Cork do the same in this one? We have 35 minutes in which to find out. Join us again after the break.
Please concentrate. It's amazing what you can do if you really concentrate. From soil, you can make flowers bloom. You can hatch chicks out of eggs. Even remove patches of oil from sun-drenched beaches. That's the power of new concentrated Persil Automatic. Just add a small scoopful to your wash. All it takes is a little concentration.
When work feels like a jailhouse, or fuming in a hot cookhouse, ooh, you gotta make it Maxwell House. Visiting the new tree house, snoozing in a cool boathouse, ooh, you gotta make it Maxwell House.
How to choose a bank, Part 2.
So, here are your checkbooks, check cards, complete with
mugshot.
and your cash card.
For 24-hour banking.
So even when you're closed, we're open.
Civilized banking. From Cork and Limerick Savings Bank.
Pick it up, knock it back, milk for healthy handball. Calcium in every glass, milk for healthy handball. Milk's refreshing, milk is fun, builds strong bones with calcium. Oh, pick it up, knock it back, milk for healthy handball. Milk for healthy handball.
Now no one has to work without a safety net. The Health and Safety Authority. One authority for health and safety at work for all.
Luxury Apartments, Cara Court, Salt Hill. Qualifies for Section 27 grant by Fleming Construction, Clare Galway.
Cabrini. Knitwear for men, Italian design, Irish made, available nationwide.
To look after your daisies during the coming months, firstly, select the correct pot. Add a little peat. Treat to a little flora that's high in polyunsaturates, low in saturates, and low in cholesterol. Now, transplant to the nursery and leave to settle. While you check your new seedlings. Flora at the heart of healthy families.
Half-time entertainment here at Croke Park. The Artane Boys Band, past and present, being joined today all the way from Longford by Declan Nerney, the first Longford man for quite some time to play at Croke Park.
Where we spend native screen, leafy shade on the banks of and then in the spring
the banks of my own lovely Lee. I wonder if the Cork supporters ever get sick listening to that. I'm sure not.
And now the song for our Meath team here today and the supporters here in Ireland and all over the world, Beautiful Meath. I have travelled many counties in Ireland, but there's still one I'm longing to see, and it's been a part of my homeland, and it brings back fond memories to me, where I wandered alone in my childhood, reviewing the sights I once seen, as I walk through the parks and the forests around the beautiful county of Meath. Oh, beautiful Meath, you've got all that I need. Your rivers, they flow with delight. Your fields are so green, there's plains to be seen, and your towns are so gay and so bright. Fishing down on the Boyne, I remember the time you would think it was all just a dream. But wherever you roam, there's no place like home, and the beautiful county of Meath. I've seen its beautiful castles, and its history I've learned so well. I've read of the high kings of Tara and the wonderful book of Kells. Little Slane still remembers St. Patrick. He lit a fire for the people to see, where he brought love and kindness to Ireland, and the beautiful county of Meath. Sing it on. Oh, beautiful Meath, you've got all that I need. Your rivers, they flow with delight. Your fields are so green, there's plains to be seen, and your towns are so gay and so bright. Fishing down on the Boyne, I remember the time you would think it was all just a dream. But wherever you roam, there's no place like home, and the beautiful county of Meath. But wherever you roam, there's no place like home, and the beautiful county of Meath.
Beautiful county of Meath, Declan Murney there with the Artane Boys Band in tow. Let me turn to my panellists today, and that's Charlie Mulgrew from Donegal and Martin Carney from Mayo. Gentlemen, your thoughts on that first half, because it was quite interesting stuff.
Yeah, quite saying that the game got off to a slow start. We thought that the build-up to the game, we thought it was going to be sort of really very intense and very everything going to be no quarter after given. But it started off fairly slowly. Cork seemed to be getting the better of the exchanges at the early stages of the match. They were getting their free kicks. Colm O'Neill seemed to be pulling Mike Lyons out and forcing Mike Lyons to foul him. They got one free from it. I think they missed two frees from it, and they probably should have capitalised more on that. With the possession that Cork have had in the first half, I would think they should maybe have a better lead than they have. They're leading by 1 point at the moment, you know.
Well, Colm O'Neill and Mick Lyons have been the story of the first half, Martin. Now, this one involves Colm O'Neill here. So let's have a look at this, because this is a shot off the crossbar that could have been also different for Cork.
Yes, Michael, this was one of the incidents early on in the game when Colm O'Rourke, or rather when Colm O'Neill evaded Mick Lyons, and he was very unlucky with that shot that hit the underneath of the crossbar. In fact, I think throughout the game, Colm O'Neill and Mick Lyons have been having their differences. As early as the second or third minute, they got involved in a scrap with one another at the far end of the field while the game was up here around Hill 16. Colm O'Neill, I thought, was causing Mick Lyons a lot of trouble. He was winning the ball in front of him, And I think when the sending off happened, actually, Colm O'Neill, I suppose he perpetrated a silly rather than a vicious incident. Both players were on the ground.
Here is the incident, Charlie. Now, look, to me it was obvious that one of these two guys was going to be sent off the way they were going at each other. Colm O'Neill was the man who went. And he was, as Ger Canning said in his commentary, I think he was a little bit foolish here.
Yeah, Colm was a bit foolish. I think it's basically experience, Mick Lyons' experience here. Mick Lyons comes over to get the ball off him, and it's really nothing, a wee shove, and Colm sort of retaliates, and it's right in front of the referee, and I think he was sort of, Mick's experience sort of walked him into it, basically, yeah. I just noticed that Colm Coyle, I think, has come on the Meath team just there. I've seen them.
Yes, both teams are back out onto the pitch. Before we go back to Ger Canning, there is Colm Coyle. Quick comment from both of you, Charlie, who's going to win it?
I think Meath will win due to the fact that it's going to be the last 10 minutes of the second half that's going to decide who wins the game. And with Cork having 14 men, I think Meath are going to be they're going to have more energy in the last 10 minutes. Therefore, I think Meath, I took Meath now.
Well, it's a test of character for Cork, Martin. Are they equal to it?
I think they're equal to it, Michael. I think Cork are playing exceptionally well today. They're playing with a tremendous resolve. They're playing like champions. And even though they are down to 14 men, I think they have the advantage of what elements there are here today. There's a slight wind in their favour this half. And I believe that quite often 14 men can act to your detriment rather than your advantage. And I'd expect them to be there or thereabouts. And I think they'll win it in the end.
Well, we were looking forward to this game for so long. We're certainly looking forward to the second half now with renewed enthusiasm. Let's go back to Ger Canning.
Colm Coyle, as you say, is in, and it's Colm Brady who's been called off by Meath. That's the half-time score. Meath, I think, very unhappy with their half-forward line at the moment. It really hasn't got motoring at all. They failed to score in the first half. Gerry McEntee, who had his moments, be hoping to get a little bit more, I think, out of his partner, Liam Hayes, in the second half. As you were for Cork, Shea Fahy and Danny Cullity. Two-man attack for Cork, who are down to 14 men of the second half. Fahy straight away, fouled by Hayes. So many fouls in this match. Terry Ferguson, he's done well in the game. Against Paul McGrath, he's kept McGrath scoreless so far. Indeed, in that first half, Fahy got 2 points, Tompkins 2, and Michael McCarthy got 2 for Cork. Brian Stafford got 4 for Meath, and there was 1 for Bernard Flynn as well. Donald Smith's kick. David Beggy. Brilliantly fetched by Gerry McEntee. Coyle, by the way, has gone into the 40. Centre half forward, and PJ Gillick is across now at left half forward. Cork wanting the ball back first, and there's a 13-metre penalty against the Meath man. Barry Coffey will take the free. People, I think, generally around the ground expecting a bit more from these two teams following the build-up to the final. Barry Coffey drives it in. Touched down by Mick Lyons, but only as far as Paul McGrath, right across the face of the goal. Martin O'Connell with the clearance. But straight back out into the arms of a Cork man again. This time it's Shea Fahy. Defiantly driven it back in, and he's put it over the bar. He's got 3 points in the match. If memory serves me correct, he got the first point in the game, and now he's got the first point of the second half. A 2-point difference. So is it to be Meath's 6th All-Ireland title or Cork's 6th? Oh, a high kick that time by Mick Slocum there. And the referee saw it there against PJ Gillick. Free is quickly taken by Gillick. Didn't take a feather out of him. Bernard Flynn on to David Beggy. Player with great pace. Dispossessed by Barry Coffey. Well, he really wants to tell all and sundry that he's more than worth his place on this Cork team, whether it's at half forward or half back. Nation likewise has had a very good match. Shea Fahy, outstanding so far, into Dave Barry. Mick Slocum here. Teddy coming a little bit too near to it. Paul McGrath offers a bit of variation. The option was well chosen. Hit with unflagging power and accuracy by Paul McGrath for his first point of the afternoon, and Cork has opened up a 3-point gap. Well, in case you've joined us late, we'll remind you that this Cork team has never beaten Meath. They've played them 5 times, 3 times in the championship, twice in the league, including this year's league semi-final, and they have yet to get the measure of the Royal County. Is that to be changed this afternoon? There's a long way to go. Barry Coffey. Back to Teddy McCarthy. Following that good run by Coffey. Prepared to take men on. And he's fouled. Colm Coyle protesting that Teddy McCarthy might have held onto the ball too long. Pumped inside, taken quickly towards Paul McGrath. Looking sharp. But as we say it, he leaves it behind to Terry Ferguson. Martin O'Connell. Well, selling it a bit short, and there was a push by Danny Cullity on Jerry McEntee. The pass, however, from O'Connell to McEntee was a difficult one for the midfielder to contain. McEntee, by the way, this year playing for Summerhill, who are in the final of the Meath County Football Championship. Coffey again, really starting prominently in the second half. Gillick, remember now, left half forward. Colm Coyle playing on the 40. Niall Cahalane is marking Colm O'Rourke, which was the case in the first half. O'Rourke, traditional full forward. Stafford, a withdrawn full forward out around the centre half forward position. This is Ferguson. He's done really well. Takes a trip over the legs, I think, of Larry Tompkins. Quickly to Robbie O'Malley. Meath in a real hurry now, trying to get some momentum going in the full forward line in particular. Brendan Riley held up. And now the little flashpoint. Elbows flying out that time. David Peggy against Danny Cullity. That's one that Meath has needed. They really needed that one on target. And we have to pay tribute, I think, to Danny Cullity's persistence, making life a little bit difficult that time. Brendan Riley involved in that last incident. Watching as Barry Coffey drives it down towards Michael McCarthy's corner, but it's Robbie O'Malley to Jerry McEntee. There was a school of thought, I know, in Meath that held that maybe Jerry would be better coming in from the subs bench, but he's had a good final so far. Coffey. Jerry McEntee under it. So to Kevin Foley. Liam Hayes calling. A good rousing run forward by Hayes. Linking up with Beggy. This is a great move. Can they finish it? Oh, it's a great save by John Kearns from Brian Stafford. Well, the turning point of the hurling final, surely, was a great save by Ger Cunningham. And on this occasion, at the same goal, at the same angle, it's John Kearns, the football goalkeeper, who produces a masterful save. A brilliant piece of interpassing. 3 Meath men involved, following that great run by Hayes. Watch for the shot, and the great save and parry by the goalkeeper. Back with Martin O'Connell, marking very slap, as Meath took a very quick 45, and Colm Coyle signals his arrival in this match with Meath's first point of the second half. 8 points to 6. Well, John Kearns had made one of the great saves of this final so far. A steady and assured goalkeeper with a fine understanding with his backs, and he's courageous and very agile as well. Liam Hayes punches it forward to PJ Gillick. Back to Martin O'Connell. Meath looking a bit more businesslike in the last few minutes. Dave Barry coming back, however, for Cork. Hit towards Teddy McCarthy. Trying to go around Brendan Riley. Back to Barry. Lobbed into space towards Paul McGrath. Back to Mick McCarthy. The 2-man full forward line without the presence of Colm O'Neill, who was sent off in the first half, remember. McCarthy. who really shone in the first half with two very well, smartly taken points. Dr. Con Murphy attending. And Cork, I think, considering an alteration in their forces, and John O'Driscoll may be about to come into this final. Frank Cogan there taking the top of the tracksuit. John with the little slip of paper, who will be coming off. He's certainly a player who would give the side, I think, a bit of direction in full forward, which they need right now. That's Coffey. Down towards Larry Tompkins, trying to break it down. Mick McCarthy trying to get to the pieces. Back to Shea Fahy. Brilliantly blocked by Martin O'Connell. Great blocking down in the game. Dave Barry following up over there. Teasingly prodding it outside towards Shea Fahy. Got a hand to it, but it's back with Meath once again with David Beggy, the flying Scotsman. Up towards Brian Stafford, twisted clear by Stephen O'Brien. A good solid performance by O'Brien. Barry Coffey, long ball. Here's Lyons. O'Connell. Meath trying to use up their advantage, their numerical advantage, by playing the ball around. Cork having to chase and harry, committing the foul on this occasion. And Brendan Riley deciding that he will take it himself from the ground. Colm O'Rourke holds on somehow, fisted forward. That's Liam Hayes in a very advanced position, trying to get into the scoring act. Back to Colm Coyle with 1 point to his credit so far, and he's turned what was a very good opening into a poor miss. On the ground, that looks like Stephen O'Brien. No, it's not, it's Shea Fahy. Shea Fahy. 3 points is total so far. John O'Driscoll is coming in, and it looks like Mick McCarthy is going off. John O'Driscoll coming across. McCarthy, the pat of well done from Billy Morgan. So John O'Driscoll will go into a full forward line. Shea Fahy back on the feet, ready to take up his place and his duty at midfield. Thursday afternoon, Sean Boylan there with his fellow selectors, Pat Reynolds and Tony Brennan. O'Driscoll then going in, and who'll take up the marking duties on John O'Driscoll? Robbie O'Malley so far. Fahy back on his feet. 11 minutes of the second half gone. There are 2 points between the teams. Cork the leaders. Touchdown, but only as far as Colm Coyle, who was pushed in the back as he played that ball forward. Don Kearns reacts smartly, takes a hefty challenge there from Colm O'Rourke. It was just a tiny bit too physical for the referee's liking. And one of the substitutes, that looks like Tommy Dowd, if I can judge from behind here. Tommy Dowd, who played in the championship so far for Meath, the player who was left out for this final. Colm Coyle making a really big impression since coming in, because he's reacting very smartly to the break of the ball. Bernard Flynn with a touchdown from Colm O'Rourke. Back to O'Rourke. Punted high but wide. Meath have squandered a number of ideal chances. The Cork backs, however, have applied the pressure on the forwards. Made them hit those shots in a little hastily. Meath with 10 wides. Cork with 3 wides, all of those in the first half. Tommy Dowd continues to warm up over there. Cool, crisp afternoon here in Croke Park. There's nothing cool or crisp about the action out on the field as Martin O'Connell concedes the free to Cork. Mick Slocum deciding that he's going to be the one, and Bob Honahan there, one of the selectors in the background, just checking the watch. He'll have seen that there are just 12 and a half minutes gone in the second half. Slocum, who had to wait patiently for the opportunity to become a permanent member of this side last year. He won league and championship medals. Deep inside, fisted out by Jerry McEntee. David Beggy coming more, and that's Terry Ferguson rather, Beggy was the player who's coming more and more into the game, trying to feed off the pieces. It's Bernard Flynn. Outside towards Colin Coyle. And Meath fans will wonder why he wasn't in from the beginning. Touch forward to David Beggy, the player we mentioned just a moment ago. And as if to justify that last statement, he's put the ball over the bar. His first point of the match. From a position where the half-forwards failed to score in the first half, they've now scored 2 between them. Billy Morgan there with a word of advice to his players. Well, the players at least can get rid of the nerves and the tension when the match begins, or shortly after it anyway. For the coaches, they have to live on their nerves right up to about 5 o'clock. Dave Barry has been switched into full forward. Martin O'Connell has followed him. Perhaps this will be Cork's tactic to keep on varying the man in at full forward. Anyway, it's Terry Ferguson. How often in this match he's nipped in. Playing a telling pass outside. Colm O'Rourke, David Beggy, intercepted brilliantly by Mick Slocum. Barry Coffey towards Dave Barry, has come away from the full forward position once again. That's Terry Ferguson. He's the loose man in this Meath team, hence he's getting a lot of possession. Tony Nation fisting it down. Bernard Flynn waiting, but living on crumbs this afternoon so far. Just a point from the first half to his credit so far. Meath just reorganising their backline right now, and Mick Lyons has become the loose player, the free player. And it is Martin O'Connell marking Dave Barry in the attack, and Robbie O'Malley marking John O'Driscoll. Colm O'Rourke calling inside, but Brian Stafford composing himself. And it's gone wide. A wide by Meath, and they've had so many in the game. And that's Paddy Hayes, who's going in there for Cork, one of the substitutes, player who played in the semi-final. And just looking around to see who is being withdrawn. Paddy Russell, the referee, holding up for a minute, and it's Dave Barry, I think, who's going off. Dave Barry making his way off. Disappointing final for Dave so far. The man of the match last year, remember. Paddy Hayes. Cork's ploy, I think, here is to bring in fresh faces, fresh legs, because of their numerical disadvantage. Here's Coffey. Leading, however, by a solitary point, 8 points to 7. John O'Driscoll. It's very much anyone's final. Larry Tompkins will be the free taker. Both sides now in the remaining 18-19 minutes really having to take most or all of the chances that come their way. Meath, people said they fancied in a tight finish. Will that yet happen? Larry Tompkins opens up a 2-point gap once more. Larry's kicked his 3rd point, all 3 from frees. Donald Smith. Danny Cullity rising up well in that very heavily congested midfield. Selling it just a tiny bit short to Slocum, who did well to hold on to it. Selling a dummy by PJ Gillick on that occasion. This is Fahy. Now his midfield partner, Danny Cullity. Prodded on towards Larry Tompkins. Slows down and dispossessed by David Beggy. Jerry McEntee was free for just a moment there, shouldered well by Barry Coffey. Colm Coyle. A poor pass by Coyle, but that's really the first error that he's made so far since coming into the game. Many players have upped their performances, I think, from the first half. They were a little bit subdued, as I was saying, in that first half, but the game was Very competitive. Barry Coffey certainly one of those to shine. Sub is still being warmed up over there. Joe Castles also. Yes, that's Tommy Dowd, by the way. Paddy Hayes, one of Cork's subs, breaks it down. Knocks it forward himself. Robbie O'Malley going back, making it his. So very difficult to beat Robbie O'Malley. Mick McCarthy has now gone off the Cork team. Managed to get 2 points from him in the first half. But it's been all Robbie O'Malley in the second half in any confrontation down there against his man. So a test of courage and strength for both teams. Commitment as well. Can Cork show the resolve to gain their first victory against this particular Meath team? Will that great battling quality that Meath possess, playing with 15 men for the second half, will that prevail yet? Colm O'Rourke against Niall Cahalane, and this time it's Cahalane who gets the benefit of the doubt from the referee, as he claims that there was a push by Colm O'Rourke. Surely that full-back display in the semi-final was one of the great full-back displays here at Croke Park for the last 10 to 15 years. Turns with the free. Breaks down to Teddy McCarthy. Strong challenges. A restraining arm by Colm Coyle. The free to Cork. 15 minutes to go. Cork ahead by 2 points. 9 points to 7. Billy Morgan with Joe Castles coming in as another Meath sub. Well, the introduction of Colm Coyle certainly had a telling effect on the game so far. So now Joe Castles, the most senior member of this Meath team, gets a piece of the action. Larry Tompkins against Martin O'Connell. Strong challenge by O'Connell. Paul McGrath neatly takes it back up. The challenge coming in there from Brendan Riley. But there was a lovely pick up there by Paul McGrath. Brilliant skill. Remember, he was an all-time, or an all-star, an automatic all-star last year. So Brendan Riley waits. Jerry McEntee's the one, by the way, who's gone off the Meath team. Replaced by Joe Castles. Tompkins the free taker. Into Shea Fahy. And what's a very dark afternoon really here in Croke Park. The picture you're seeing is a good deal brighter, and it's looking particularly bright for Cork right now as Shea Fahy kicks his 4th point of the match on one of his best afternoons in the championship. When it mattered most, Cork lead by 10 points to 7. So the Cork fans, I'm sure now, must be beginning to wonder whether they can finally prevail against Meath and pull off this double. Remember, it's 100 years since Cork last won the hurling and football championship in the 1 year. Paddy Hayes. Paul McGrath trying to hold it on in play there. That's gone wide. The absence of the player who was dismissed in the first half has meant that the likes of Danny Cullity and Paul McGrath are having to show greater industry and greater commitment. The incentive couldn't be any greater for players like PJ Gillick with that facial injury. A huge leap in the air by John O'Driscoll has moved out in towards midfield, and there's just one man in the full forward line right now for Cork. The jersey of the full forward was being held, but it's Beggy who gets through. Stopped by Mick Slocum brilliantly. The support outside. Conahan always looks so casual, so deceptively fast as well, however. A much underrated defender. On towards Paddy Hayes at the poor pass. Snapped up by Robbie O'Malley. And now Meath are pressing forward. But Cork are defiant. This is Slocum. Just one man to knock forward to. There he is, Paul McGrath. He's got support from John O'Driscoll, who's made a run away on the left-hand side. McGrath lobbing it across towards him. Comes down. But read well by Liam Hayes, fouled by Danny Cullity, taking the free quickly himself. The tempo of the game has really picked up in this second half. Gillick driving it forward towards Brian Stafford. Punches driven out there to try and get the ball. Coonahan here. Back to Niall Cahalane. Johnny Cullity standing, driving it down. And the 14 men of Cork are doing a really good job, just as Meath did when they were down to 14 in 1988. And the sub there, Tommy Dow, just bringing in the little slip of paper to referee Paddy Russell. Tommy Dowd comes in to enjoy his piece of the action. So we've had Coyle, Castles and Dowd, and it looks like David Beggy is the one who's gone off. He came into the game for a bit in the second half, but he's gone out of it again, and now he takes his place on the seat. Tompkins to extend Cork's lead if he can. He's done just that. There are 4 points between the teams. Larry Tompkins has kicked his 4th pointed free. Is there a way back for Meath? Time is still on their side if they're good enough. There are 11 minutes remaining. Brendan Riley. Rapidly delivered to Hayes, crossing the 45-metre line. Meath needing a couple of scores badly. A goal would do nicely for them. Hayes stopped by Barry Coffey. Coffey says it was a fair shoulder to shoulder. The referee, however, didn't see it that way. It's a free in for Meath. Well, Hayes is certainly hurt, having made that good run through the centre. This the action once again. Now, was it a fair shoulder-to-shoulder challenge, as Barry Coffey was claiming? Well, he certainly went in with the shoulder, but he caught him in the upper chest. This is a determined Barry Coffey, taken off in the semi-final. He wants to win another All-Ireland medal. Liam Hayes hoping to win his 3rd All-Ireland medal this afternoon. This the battle of the big two in Gaelic football. 10 minutes to go, and the deficit is cut back, thanks to the trusty boot of Brian Stafford, who kicks his 5th point. 3 between them. Sean Boylan realising with his selectors there that we're in for a tense finale. Tommy Dow there trying to push up on Mick Slocum. Breaks on to Larry Tompkins. Outside towards Teddy McCarthy. Coonahan. Belted inside but wide. Well, it may lack some of the style that we've seen in football finals in the past, but certainly not the passion and the commitment from the two teams involved. Paddy Hayes fisting it down. Ferguson to take it, or perhaps Martin O'Connell. A push and a free. Mick Slocum, the one who's ready and raring to take it. Eight minutes. And the crowd a little silent just now. Perhaps really expecting a great deal more from these two teams. It's been a little sluggish at times. We've seen some good scores, but the marking has been tight. And John O'Driscoll here hoping to make his presence felt in this game yet. Larry Tompkins will be the free taker as always, taking that kind of responsibility on his shoulders. There was an alternative at the freeze when Colm O'Neill was on the field, but he was sent off just before half-time. Remember, 3 points between them. Cork the leaders. He doesn't get the range. There are still 3 points between the teams. Danny Collity takes it down cleverly. Released to Barry Coffey. Picking out his man. That's a lovely pass forward. Really intelligent ball by Coffey to Paul McGrath. Half blocked down. Safely gathered by the goalkeeper. That's the countdown of the time. And we have just over 6 minutes to go. Joe Castles. Inside to Colm O'Rourke, now operating out around the middle. Trying to get that forward line moving. Colm Coyle against Barry Coffey. Good-looking ball. Tommy Dowell across, waiting for it. Breaks down, spills loose into the arms of Mick Slocum. Blocked down by Colm O'Rourke. Picked up. And there was a trip on Niall Cahalane. Free out to Cork, taken rapidly. Shea Fahy. Larry Tompkins. Cork trying to see off the Meath challenge. Well, there's never been very much between these teams when they've met in League or Championship in recent years. And Mick Lyons gathering that ball, coming forward, cut out by Mick Slocum. Teddy McCarthy finding Barry Coffey. Downfield, but there's nobody at all inside the 45-metre line where that ball was released. Meath then having to come forward, having to press home their numerical superiority. 15 against 14, but they're behind, remember, by 3 points, 11-8. Brendan Riley trying to spill it loose outside, finding Brian Stafford. It's curling. O'Rourke keeps it in play. And it goes finally off Stephen O'Brien, and it's gone for a 45. That's John Cleary who's coming in as a substitute over there for Cork, the number 21. Another forward. And we just wait to see who the player going off is going to be. Meanwhile, Stafford in the gathering gloom of Croke Park, and it's looking a little bit gloomy for the Royal County just now. Paul McGrath is the one who's gone off the team. Paul McGrath's gone off. So the full forward line that Cork started the match with are now all off the field. With both teams having used up their full complement of subs. It's down to the 29 players on the field to resolve this All-Ireland. Stafford, brilliant interception. Martin O'Connell runs into Slocum. Still presses forward. Referee's whistle sounds. Referee penalises Cork 13 metres for not getting back fast enough. O'Connell. Liam Hayes under it. Doing well, getting inside. Meath needing a goal. He's taken down. Now, was it inside or outside? His legs are outside, and it's an ordinary 13 metres free. Very dangerous indeed from Cork's point of view, as Liam Hayes had got in there ahead of Conor Coonahan. Watch as he was trying to make his way into the large rectangle, pushed and pulled clearly outside. 3 points the margin. 4 to 3.5 minutes left. Stafford has cut it back to a 2-point game. Brian Stafford scored 6 points this afternoon. But is he to finish on the winning side? We haven't had a goal in the game so far. A goal would surely seal this match. 3 minutes left. The crowd was tense and somewhat silent earlier on. Now spilling out their emotions, getting behind both teams. Castles, the great old warrior, up as far as Colm O'Rourke. Can Meath pull this game out of the fire yet? They've won a free. Well, as so often happens, 15 men sometimes have the greatest of difficulty getting the mastery of 14. Stafford is going to be the taker. Will he opt to go for a point? On my watch, he has 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go. A point would cut it back to just a 1-point difference. He's put it wide. It may be an extravagant miss yet. But really, Meath so far have been very profligate in their shooting. They had 13 wide so far against 6 for Cork. This is picked up by Joe Castles. Meath coming searching, I'm sure, for a goal. Colm O'Rourke inside to Tommy Dowd. Blocked down brilliantly by Stephen O'Brien. Held off by Colm O'Rourke, linking up back there with Barry Coffey. Brilliant defender that he is, Coffey. He plays it outside to Paddy Hayes. Larry Tompkins, it's a mad scramble. At times the contest has been just a little raw, where the intensity of the players' efforts to try and get possession's concerned. Very little of the open play, the open style of football, but we never really expected that kind of game. Cork in no great hurry. Just a minute remaining. 11 points to 9. This side has never beaten Meath. Liam Hayes trying to nurse that one out over the end line and make it a Meath possession. Meath know what they must do. From this kick out, they've got to get a goal. With that, they could win the All-Ireland. Colm Coyle, held by Teddy McCarthy. Well, Teddy was never back the requisite distance. And a 13 metres penalty for about the 4th time in this match. This is it then for Meath. This is it for Cork as well, however. Slocum outside towards John O'Driscoll. It's going to be a free. Time almost up. They live on the edge of their seats. Cork beaten by Meath in 1967. Beaten by Meath in 1987. Beaten after a replay in 1988. Are the 14 men to prevail in front of their loyal band of fans? The subs wait. The double has been achieved. It's Cork's All-Ireland. It's Cork's year. The double in hurling and the double in football. In 1890 it was 2 club sides, but now a county selection has achieved this remarkable feat. Cork's first victory in the All-Ireland over Meath and the county's 6th victory in all. The day and the month of September belongs to the red and white. The Sam Maguire has been retained by the champions. In a tight, tense battle, Meath forced to give way. Conor Coonahan, one of the heroes. Meath exchanging greetings with their Cork opponents. Tony Nation dances a jig of joy, saluted by the fans as Cork win by 2 points. It's Cork 11, Meath 9 points. Well, a very happy man, the former Taoiseach Jack Lynch, footballer and hurler of course, a very pleased Cork man. Who would have believed it at the start of the championship, that the rebel county would win both championships in hurling and in football? The footballers were telling me that they were inspired by the hurlers. They finally lay the Meath bogey, and Teddy McCarthy, in this great season for Cork, has won senior All-Ireland medals in hurling and in football. A wonderfully satisfying win for the side, managed by the outstanding Billy Morgan, who led the side supported by people like Sean Murphy, Dave Lukeman, Christy Collins and Bob Honahan. Cork enjoying a memorable victory for the first time since 1890, a Cork double. Bishop Murphy, the Bishop of Cork, a hurling man and a football man. Larry Tompkins following the path of so many great Cork captains. People like Jim Power of Middleton, who won it for the first time in 1890. Mick Megan in 1911. Ty Crowley, Dennis Allen, Billy Morgan. They were all Cork captains, and they're followed now by Larry Tompkins. Cork's 6th All-Ireland win, which puts them into 4th place in the Roll of Honour. And it's Castlehaven's Larry Tompkins who stands poised to collect the Sam Maguire. The broad smile on the face, I think, says it all. A titanic battle in the second half. A really spirited performance by Cork, who were down to 14 men about 5 minutes before half-time. I think we should say a word about the referee as well. I think he handled the game well. There were 2 bookings in the match right at the start of the game, but there wasn't much he could do about the sending off, I'm afraid.
Ireland coming out past there. Under the cardinal. Marutron coming out past there. Wawala Makagarda Gawal. That's for in Cork again, yo. It is my great pleasure on behalf of the association to congratulate Cork on winning the All-Ireland football final here today. I want to compliment them on playing a fine brand of football, and it would be remiss if I didn't say to Cork, well done in achieving the double. This is something that is very rare in our games, so it's only fitting that Cork should be suitably congratulated. To the losing team, our friends from the Royal County, let us salute them today for the part they played here. They played a magnificent part. They tried desperately hard to the end, and they can go home proud in the knowledge that they gave all that they had to give. I would, on behalf of the association also, I feel duty bound to congratulate the miners of Meath and Kerry on the wonderful display they gave us here today also. I would like to thank and congratulate all the team officials for all of the 4 teams. I want to thank the referees, the umpires, the linesmen in both games. On behalf of the association too, I want to congratulate all our voluntary workers. I want to thank them sincerely for helping to make our game today such a spectacle. And of course, I don't think we could have an All-Ireland final without the RTN Boys Band, and our thanks to them. Other than this, Brunham and Curran Sam Maguire, Larry.
Sam Maguire goes proudly back to Lee side. It's Sam and it's Liam in the 1 year for Cork.
Oakland, Tahira, Ahishak, Oakland, Dolan. I look back now as the ex-jock, a moose in a hair and nodding. August, a moocher, a Corky. It's privilege enough, your dumpster, corner, Sam Maguire. August, a rash reach, go Corky. It's my greatest privilege and pleasure and honour to accept this trophy. Sam Maguire, on behalf of all the players and the mentors involved with this magnificent team. First of all, I would like to thank our shrewd mentors, Bob Honan, Christy Collins, Sean Murphy and Dave Lukeman. Also, to our masseur, John King Cronin, Frank Hogan, and our medical doctor, Dr. Con Murphy. I have just left one man out. That's our number 1 man, and he is no other than Billy Morgan. I have never met a man with so much self-belief, commitment, determination, and a fierce will to win as is Billy Morgan. I think that's why this team has been in the All-Ireland for the last 4 years, and I've no doubt wherever he is there now, he's thinking of 3 in a row for next year. On this historic occasion, it was 100 years ago since we achieved the double. First of all, I would like to thank Father Michael O'Brien and his hurlers
for giving us great self-belief and confidence to go on and win today. Also, a little word of thanks again and commiserations, I suppose, for one of our men that we lost today, Colin O'Neill. Now, to you supporters, what can I say? Only thank you. I think it's also the people who were unfortunate not to get here today, who couldn't get tickets or are sick at home or unwell in hospital. I'm sure we'll see you all down at the banks on Monday night. Also a little word to our immigrants across the water. I know, being an immigrant myself for a few years, I know when a team is involved in an All-Ireland, they take great honour and great pride. I say hello to all of you in San Francisco, New York, Boston, London. And also, not forgetting dear old Castlehaven. I bestow a great honour to them for making me captain and to receive this trophy here today, and I would like to thank them sincerely. Finally, I'd like to thank Meath for a great sporting game, and I'd like to give 3 cheers to Meath. Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! Right, let's go and have a few drinks.
One of the great rallying speeches.
Yes, here on RTE, because we'll have the analysis of this year's final coming up after this commercial break.
The Italian driving experience.
Marathon has changed its name to Snickers. It's still packed with peanuts, still covered in smooth milk chocolate. But from now on, for Marathon, say Snickers. Snickers.
Here in the soils of Ireland reside acidic ions. Cheerful creatures feeding on expensive nutrients, multiplying as they destroy the soil's goodness.
Grow Lime, when spread in just the right amount, wipes out acidic ions, restores the soil's natural goodness, helps fertilizers work better and crops grow stronger. Grow Lime, get your land back in line.
Avonmore Spreadable Butter is Ireland's favourite spreadable butter. Avonmore Spreadable Butter spreads smoothly every time.
With the amount we cram into our lives these days, it's no wonder we sometimes get indigestion. Rennie, for people with an appetite for life.
Powerful. Reliable. Economical. Caproven. Caproven is the mighty one you can really rely on. Just one treatment of Caproven smashes mastitis. Through 4 weeks, through 6 weeks, throughout the 8-week dry period, right up to calving. Nothing else gives all-round, longer-lasting protection. Caproven, the long-lasting dry cow protection.
Co-op shop. sponsors of the Cork football team. Co-op Shop Cork.
Con Murphy's, the ultimate choice in Balmer menswear, 60 Patrick Street, Cork.
Ballahills Clock Jordan, Irish agents for Rolly Toys. Full range of Christmas goods on display. Trade only.
40 all-time greats of GAA, now available only with Kepravin and Nilzan Plus.
Will we find signs of intelligence?
What was that? Some sort of streak, sir. Looking on tractor beams.
Fascinating. The object is in fact a winning streak ticket.
Captain, I'm picking up something. You can win up to £10,000 instantly and the chance to take part in their TV game. I'm green with envy.
They can win up to £250,000 on the show or up to £50,000 playing at home. I can't believe my ears.
Neither can I.
Welcome back to Croke Park. Well, as darkness begins to fall a little bit early on this overcast evening, as you can see behind me, the darkness setting in, but great scenes of joy and jubilation still down there on the pitch. Would you believe the Artane Boys band are down there in the middle of it someplace playing a celebratory tune for Cork, and we congratulate Cork this evening on this fabulous achievement of the hurling and football double. Let me quickly go to my panel, to Charlie Mulgrew from Donegal, Martin Carney from Mayo. Gentlemen, your comments on that match. Charlie, we wondered about Cork's character. Could they lift themselves? 14 men to do it, and they certainly showed us they could.
They certainly did, Michael. They stuck their task equally well. I was very impressed with the midfield pairing of Saif Bahi and Danny Collodi. I thought they did extremely well. Saif Bahi was there's a wee statistic. He scored the first point in the first half, and it was he again who scored the first point in the second half. I thought his contribution overall was very good. Well, Cork half-back line, Mick Slocum in particular, and Conor Houlihan, they had a great game. They were getting the ball and they were holding it up and sending excellent passes into the Cork forward line.
Once again, Martin, it was shown that 14 men losing a man in an All-Ireland final is not necessarily a disadvantage, as Meath proved in '88 in the replay, and of Cork have proved here today.
Yes, this victory must be particularly sweet for Cork, given the statistic from 1988 when Jerry McEntee got sent off and Meath won with the 14 men. I felt, though, right from the very beginning today that Cork had something extra in their play. They were playing with much greater tenacity than heretofore. And even when they went down to 14 men, Meath didn't seem to be able to exploit it. Right through the second half then, Michael, I was puzzled by the Meath use of the extra man. At the beginning of the second half, they kept Mick Lyons posted in the full-back position. And I never thought they really came to terms with trying to make use of the extra man. I think that was one of the contributory factors to them losing. I think it would be unfair, though, not to salute the spirit that Cork had today. They played with wonderful spirit. Some of the players out there today, some of the commentators during the week questioned their right to be there. The likes of Tony Nation, for example. Everybody thought Bernard Flynn would give him a roasting. To be honest with you, I thought myself, coming up to half-time, that Bernard Flynn was starting to do very well in him. But he had a wonderful game. Michael Slocum was wonderful. Cork also made a very judicious switch in the second half by bringing in Paddy Hayes around the midfield area. And he won a few vital balls in that area at a stage where I thought Meath were starting to get a foothold. I think there was one other incident in the game. Jerry McEntee shipped a very hard knock, I think, from Conor Coonahan. And after that, his contribution just left the game completely. And in fact, he had to be substituted by Joe Castles.
Mind you, Martin, there's a turning point, I suspect, in every game. And this, perhaps, Charlie, was the turning point in this game, because this was John Kerrin's save. An interesting analogy, because this happened, of course, in the hurling final as well. Gerard Cunningham's save from Martin Naughton.
Liam Hayes, he's forcing through the ball. It was a great run by Liam. And I'm not sure who he passed it inside to David Beggy. David Beggy continues to run on.
They did everything right up to this. The passing was beautiful, the right pass, and...
Yeah, Brian Stafford did the right thing as well. He put the ball on the ground, but John Kearns was equal to it, went down for a well. That possibly was one of the major turning points in the game.
Well, now we'll just take a little break from our analysis at the moment to say bye-bye to all our viewers in Channel 4. We hope that you enjoyed the All-Ireland football final of 1990 as Cork completed a very unique double in 1990 of the hurling and football double. Okay, gentlemen, back here on RTE. Yes, I think that was a turning point in the game, Martin, like it was in the hurling game, because had that gone in, the story probably would have been different.
The story would have been different. I think Meath were looking to some player on their team for a bit of inspiration right through the game. No single Meath player seemed to be able to impress his authority on the game. Normally it's their full forward line. But today, the three of them seemed to be strangely subdued. Bernard Flynn seemed to be the only one that was his lively self. Even some of Brian Stafford's place kicking in the first half and in the second half went astray. Another thing that I think that was strange about Meath was the last couple of minutes. They had two great chances of points in the last couple of minutes, and they seemed to lose their composure during that time, and they didn't seem to have the calmness of old.
Well, Martin, look at this great scenes here as the Artane Boys Band lead out the Cork supporters out of Croke Park. They don't really want to leave. They're still hanging around here because this has been a great day for Cork football and for Cork GA in general. Great scenes also, I think, down around the dressing room area, down around the back of the Hogan stand where the players have been making their way back to the dressing room for a deserved rest and maybe that deserved drink that Larry Tompkins was talking about. That's where we have to leave it then from Croke Park for this afternoon. My thanks again to Martin Carney and Charlie Mulgrew. Don't forget tonight, of course, we have our review of this year's All-Ireland final on the Sunday game on Network 2. We will also have, those are the score lines for you, as you can see there. We will also have our selection of the man of the match, the Telecom Air and RTE Sports man of the match from 1990. Our special panellists tonight will be Mick O'Dwyer and Enda Colleran. So that's, as I said, where we say bye-bye from Croke Park on All-Ireland football final day. Do please join us on the Sunday game later on tonight.